give us a synopsis about the 7 days transformational journey?
Okay, Ram. First of all, let me talk a little bit about our institute and what our vision is all about, and how do people benefit from our program that we run in our institute. Our institute, known as the Self-Awareness Center, it was founded way back in 1988. It's been some 26 years since we have been running this program called the 7-Day Transformational Journey. That is our core program. That is our foundational program. The core program for spiritual foundation happens to be the 7-Day Transformational Journey. We have other programs too. We have advanced programs, but this is the foundational program. The spiritual aspirant will have to go through this basic program before he moves up the ladder, step by step, towards the ultimate in spirituality. And since 1988, we have been running this program. We have expanded. We have our headquarters in Kuala Lumpur. We have branches elsewhere, namely Johor Bahru, Penang, Ipoh, and in Singapore too. But it's only in Singapore that we run the program bilingually. We have a Tamil program as well as the English programs going on as well. Okay, our foundational program being the 7-Day Transformational Journey. The word transformation, to the layman, his perception of transformation may be a change for the better, a change in perspective, looking at life from a totally different perspective, and to discard all belief systems and to look forward to a better future. That will be what transformation is all about to the layman. But in our terms, we have a slightly different way of defining transformation. A lot of people, they are into motivational programs. Motivation happens to be a stimuli for the spur of the moment. It motivates the individual, but after a period of time, you find that the motivation just wanes off. So we thought that this is where our transformational journey fits in. Having gone through the transformational journey, then you attend motivational programs. It makes a lot of sense. We too run motivational programs. We say you go through the transformational journey first. So transformation in our context, putting it this way, to become aware and realize the very divine attributes we were endowed with when we came into being. When I say to become aware and realize the very divine attributes we were endowed with when we came into being. Meaning to say, there is another caption by a French philosopher. It says like this, it says, we are spiritual beings with human experiences. So when we say spiritual being, and we have two entities there, one is a spiritual being, the other being a human. So they are coming into alignment, a spiritual being and human being. So we happen to be spiritual beings with human experiences. We are not human beings with spiritual experiences. We are spiritual beings with human experiences. So when you say spiritual, the word spiritual, to a lot of people, they think it is religious. Religion is something to do with code of ethics. Religion, when we define religion, we can say religion happens to be code of ethics, to live by the very divine attributes we were endowed with when we came into being. Code of ethics. Hopefully, by following the code of ethics, you can live by the attributes of compassion. The very attributes we were endowed with when we came into being. So that's religion. And religion is exclusive to certain communities, certain society. But in spirituality, we say it's an umbrella body that which encompasses all religion. That is spirituality. So spirituality simply means God realization. Now, every religion talks about God and ultimate to realize that God entity. So spirituality is simply putting it in very simple terms, God realization. So if it's God realization, realizations happens to be internal. Something internal, not external. You realize it is something internal. So when it is internal, then we have to take the inward journey within ourselves. And the human being with mind dynamics. So the mind itself can be split into three areas. We have the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the unconscious mind. So if it is realization, then it's something internal. It's not external. External is knowledge. You learn about it. But internal is something whereby you feel the particular attribute that we are talking about. So spirituality is God realization. Now let's go back. Now we say a spiritual being and the human being. So it clearly indicates that we have come from some other dimension. We don't belong to this physical world. The physical world is termed as a stage for a play, a divine play. So if we have come from some other dimension, then we have come from the macro, the spiritual entity that which encompasses the entire universe. So we have come from the primordial, the God, the existence, pure consciousness. So at the time of coming into being as a human, we were very much in tune with the core. The intellect, when it gets exposed to the confines of nature in this physical body, it gets caught in an illusion of certainty. It forgets, it becomes ignorant and forgets its true innate nature. And that's where the problem starts. So we have to know our intentions before we go on to the program proper. What was our intention in the first place? We were in an all graceful state in our original home, along with the primordial. So now, obviously, there is a fall from grace. From the graceful state, you are one with the one, you have made an exit from there. So, meaning a fall of grace has occurred. So, the fall had to be a good reason, had to be for a very good reason. So, the question suggests, why did we depart from our original home? Why are we here on the material plane, the physical plane, the earth, planet earth? What is birth? What is death? Where do we go from here? Who am I? How am I connected to the primordial, the God? What is God all about? The answers to such questions will come from the journey that we are about to embark, the 7-day transformational journey. So the journey involves we taking the inward journey. So the layman, when we mention layman, 97% of mankind, they come into that category, layman. Now to them, they perceive God being a separate entity altogether. But to us, people in spirituality, we say we have to feel the God entity. So we have to take the inward journey. So inward journey, in the sense, we have to move into the realm known as the subconscious mind and the unconscious mind. So talking about mind dynamics, we have the conscious mind, subconscious mind, and the unconscious mind. So the intellect has to be given the space. All experiences are intellect related. It's the intellect which goes through the experiences which it ought to on the material plane. So in that respect, to realize the divinity within, the intellect has to take the journey inwards to the realm known as subconscious and the unconscious. That's where you get to realize the God entity. But the laymen, they do not have access to the interior, to the subconscious and unconscious. So the layman operates solely at the conscious level through the filters, the five senses. Hence, it is gratification of sensual pleasure, merely that, nothing more than that. So in that respect, you analyze the entire scenario, we are no different from the animal kingdom. Look at the animal kingdom, the habitat. What do they do from the time they get up in the morning up to the time they get to sleep at night? They go searching for food. They sleep and procreate. Nothing more than that. Since the time the beings that evolved into animals, for billions of years, they have been following the same pattern, day in and day out. Looking for food, sleep and procreate. And how do they gratify? To the five senses. That's it. So if you look at the animal kingdom, to them, it may appear as though they are leading a wonderful life, a magnificent life. The animals think that way. But to us, from the spiritual perspective, the animals are just existing. The saying, survival of the fittest. But that saying, survival of the fittest, is very generalized to include mankind. But we won't agree on that. The saying, survival of the fittest, applies only to the animal kingdom. As far as mankind is concerned, all can survive. Whereas the fittest will live magnificently. The word fittest indicates that we have utilized the intellectual faculty to the optimum. It's a very rare privilege to have taken the human birth. Reason being, only mankind endowed with this intellectual faculty. Animals with just five senses: sensory perception, touch, taste, smell, hearing and sight. So animal kingdom is gratifying oral needs to the five senses, sensual pleasure. That's all. Now, if you look at lifestyle of men today, they happen to be gratifying oral needs to the five senses. So that is mere existence. But we are talking of living magnificently, a meaningful life. To justify the caption, it's a rare privilege to have taken the human birth. So in order to do that, then you got to go beyond the realm of the conscious mind. So the intellect will have to be given space to dive within to the subconscious and the unconscious. Now, this part can only be possible through the technique known as meditation. So meditation will take us inwards to the realm, subconscious and the unconscious, to realize as to who we are and to get all the answers. So the answers to the transcendental secret, the spiritual secrets, all that lies at the unconscious level.